Let me just get this set up and we will start. May play 1 or 2 games a day, it just really depends. What do I feel like after game one? Very, very nice start. I think that's a little too low if I go over here. So I might actually take the kick this time. I think I'm going to go with a pincer as usual. The other option is obviously just to play g17 like I actually have been doing. Definitely been playing like g17 more lately, just for more of a peaceful resolution. But the pincer does see more action earlier. Having a bit of connection problems here. Hopefully he can resolve them. Okay, that is the move I kind of expect. It's one of those reasons why I really wish that Google Fiber would hurry up and come to everyone, because then we wouldn't have these connection problems. So I do not like to be disconnected because of connection problems. It kind of ruins the mood for everything. That's generally not a move you want to make. It's not horrible, but it does reduce, it does take away that liberty. And also, the problem with this particular move is like it takes away options later on. So, not generally a move you want to make. There's actually no reason to make that move either. Because like if you didn't make this move, you also had like the option to play g17, and now you don't really have an. Well, you can play g17. It's just not. See, I don't know why people do that move. I don't like that move. I really don't. I guess it does make you a little stronger over here, but you are giving up a little over here. And it's not like I would have actually used that move anyways. Oh, that's definitely not good. I might just ignore this at this point. Yeah, that's no good, man. That's definitely not good for him. It gives me Sente on that. That's no good. I'm actually going to pincer here. I don't know if this is a good move or not, but he just made himself. What? No. Why would you do that? I mean, that leaves me with so many options. I mean, that, yeah, sure. That's also the wrong way to Atari. You have to Atari up here. I would most likely connect, because if I take this, you can always Atari here. So this is like a really bad outcome for him. And with that, I'm actually going to fly here to cut these two groups off. Because I'm pretty safe down here generally. And now I don't really know. Well, actually, that probably wasn't the best move. I should have went over top. But still, like his group here isn't that secure. I mean, it sort of is, but he has to do some things which aren't so good for him. This wasn't a good move. I probably should have pressured here instead. I think this is a much better move. I think I should have played the... I definitely should have played d10. I'm not going to answer that. I could, but I don't really see a point right now. Kind of shore up this over here. This is still not very strong. And I think like this move is actually pretty big for me. Get some territory here. You generally don't want to do those moves. I mean, this basically just shores up my territory. And you don't really get too much over here. Yeah, this makes me a lot stronger than I actually should be. And you gotta remember, like, I still possess moves like this that I'm more than willing to do. Building this up here might seem good, but I mean, you can't really get all that territory there anyways. And leaving your side vulnerable is just no good. I am just going to force this, by the ways. He has no choice. He has to answer. Is there anything there? I don't know. I know that's Sente, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. I don't know how he... I know he can answer that way. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. It's actually... if you actually think about it, it is a ko right here. It's definitely a ko right here, and I can actually use that at any time. But right now, I'm going to fix this problem here and just kind of like secure this territory while threatening these stones. So look what he actually look at what he actually ends up with. No, actually no, I shouldn't have done that. Probably should have just fixed this. Although if he plays the, you know, the thing is, if he actually plays the ko here, I do think I'll just play the ko here. I mean, it's a really big risk for me, though, is the thing. And also, if I seal here, he doesn't really have a way to get away, so he could... That's a bad move. You definitely need to Hane that. That's also like a really, really bad move. Go on the outside. Also connect on the outside. Because remember, like, remember, this is still, this move right here, it's still essentially, it is still essentially, it is still essentially ko. it's a two-step ko for me, but it's essentially ko to kill this group. So this group's not alive yet. I can always opt to take that option at any time I want. This is going to be a lot bigger if I can kill it. So we're just going to go for it. I might not be able to kill it. But remember, if he actually does this, if he actually like squeezes a lot of this stuff, like this makes this group extremely vulnerable. It's also not the right move because I can just retreat. And that poses a huge problem for him if I just retreat. Yeah, you can't just give this up and then go for this territory down here. This is like a lot, man. There's like legit, you legit can't do. I mean, this is bad for me, obviously, but I need to extend this just to seal this group in. And let's not forget, there's still a lot of problems for him down here. He can't double Hane this because I'm just going to take the outer one. Can he? I'm not really sure. Either way, I mean, it's not good for him. And this just decreases by his territory by so much. This definitely decreases his territory by so much right now that he might not have enough to win. He just gave me this. So please hit the likes and subscribes. That would help me out. So one of the things that that differentiates a lot of lower rank players from higher rank players is like when we're both aware of trading, but a lot of times lower rank players, like when they actually trade, they don't realize like what they're giving away is actually worth much more than what they're actually receiving in return. And if you do that, you're generally you're not going to win games because you're giving up way too much territory. I mean, look at that. Dude, I'm just going to do this. Because, like, I don't really have to destroy that much of his territory anymore. I really don't. Like, there's just not much territory for me to destroy. And, like, giving this up is just a no-brainer. I mean, even like this, that's a lot of territory. It's a lot of territory. So you like so you have to like this is Gote for him by the ways, and I have these extensions on both sides, so you can see like how much of his territory I've actually shrunk down. And I'm just going to take all the Senteis on these sides. I don't know if he can actually do that, actually. I don't think he can. He might be able to, I don't know. That actually might not be a good move. But, like, these moves for me... Oh, that's bad. These moves for me are Sente. So that's the reason why I can make these... Yeah, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to just take the bottom territory, and now this is in trouble. You would actually want me to, like when I do this, you want to extend. You can't give me this. This is way too much. The thing is, I mean, like the thing is, you can't be ultra focused. You cannot be ultra focused on essentially like maintaining your territory. If you're giving up if you're actually giving up a lot to maintain that territory, right? So I'm gonna seal this in, and if I basically kill all these groups, there's essentially no way he's gonna win. There really isn't any way he's truly going to win against me. Even if he gets all this territory, which isn't really all that much. And plus, there's like actually a lot of problems down here with this particular one. I'm probably just going to take the Hane here. Like trading it, like the value of trades and sacrifices. The value of trades and sacrifices is something that weaker players definitely have to learn. Because, yes, he doesn't really do anything. I'm just going to do this first and then just seal up this because there might be some problems there. I don't think there's a way he can actually win this fight. And even if I don't get this, I still get these points, which actually might be enough just to win by itself. See, like now he's basically got, now he's basically Gote and he's dead. So he's not only dead, he's like Gote dead. And that's obviously very bad. I'm just gonna go ahead and fix this, fix all these to make sure that this is dead. Because with this all, I definitely win. And like when you're ahead by like 60 points, it really doesn't matter. I'm not gonna fight this Ko now because that will actually endanger like me capturing this as well. I didn't need to go here, but I'm just doing this to make sure. If you're in a close game, don't make that move. Yeah, like see how much territory I just took from this guy? Like you and there's actually I don't actually need to do this, but there is gonna be problems down here. Um I'm just gonna say screw it. Because I probably could invade down there, I just don't really need to. But now he does actually need to fix up here, because if he doesn't, that's going to be a major issue. Yeah. And I get like these Senteis. So like, yeah, he should have just haunted there. But realize like, in order to make this territory here, which is maybe 40, 45 points, he gave up like 100 points here. So by doing that, even if it was an even game before, he is now down. He is actually now down by about like 50 points, even if that was before. I'm just gonna do this. Remember, this is remember, like if he doesn't do anything now, I'm definitely going to make this a Ko. Because now with this fixed, I'm not really risking anything here. There's very little risk for me to do anything. So this is actually kind of a Sente move. Um, I'm just gonna go ahead and follow because I've already won. Like if I hadn't already won, I would definitely do this first because this is a Ko. This is 100% a Ko to actually make this group alive or not. And since I actually connected this, it's no longer threatening me to connect this and take this out of the equation. That And the thing is, my co-threats here don't have to be that big. Um, my co-threats can be extremely small because I don't. Since I connected this, there's really nothing in it. There's really nothing there that really forces me to do much. So I can just do this and just do stuff like this. Because now, like, you can't connect those two groups. What he did there doesn't really make too much sense either, but, you know, like... This is just like, what he, I don't have to do that either, but I mean, this is basically just like, this game was about him sacrificing too much, too much to actually make his territory. I mean, when you're playing, you do actually have to remember that what you're sacrificing to make a territory has to be less than what you're actually gaining. So gaining like 40, 50 points at the cost of like over 100 points, obviously that's not going to be a winning formula, and that's the most common mistake I actually see when I'm playing against lower ranked players. Definitely the most common mistake I see when I play against lower ranked players. That like, and this goes up all the way to the higher SDKs too. Like, people tend to, like, when they, especially when they're trying to get some territory in the middle, they tend to sacrifice a lot more than they actually gain, and they don't realize it until the game is over. You can't be upset. You can't be too obsessive about like, you can't really be too obsessive about how much you're actually making in the middle. You have to realize like how much you're giving out on the sides. Because remember, the game of Go is really all about balance. The Go game is really all about balance. And the only real point of the game is to have more points than your opponent at the end of the game. So like, every move you make has to be a net positive move. If you make a bunch of net negative moves, even if you gain a lot of territory, you're going to end up losing the game. Guys, please hit the likes. I will play another game after this. It's useless. I'm just going to connect this just to be sure. I don't think I have to actually do anything. Don't do this in a tournament. Like, if you do this in a tournament, I'm going to ignore you. And I'm going to ignore you because you're just feeding me points at that point. When you're playing like this, you basically just want to make sure that he cannot actually live. So just take away all his second eye spots, and essentially he's screwed. The butter link, I don't really know what this is. It's been there for years, so I don't exactly know what this is. Oh, it's like the URL is no longer active. I think it was like a gaming thing I did a while back. It's some kind of game thing I did a while back. It's like some kind of video game. Some like food cooking thing. That's a fake eye, so I'm just gonna cut this off. Technically, even if I gave him like 2 moves in a row right now, he couldn't live. I don't even need to answer that, but I guess I will. I mean, this is a fake eye. He doesn't have 2 eyes. And even if this group is alive, this group is still dead, so I would still win by a lot. Usually desperation moves like this don't really get anything. And like in a tournament, honestly, I would just ignore all these moves and you would just be feeding me points. Not that it matters right now because you're behind by a lot, but if it was close, you don't really do these feeder moves.
Remove the dead stones.
Huh? I just accepted everything.
You have won.
So, all right. So let's actually go back and review this game. Let's actually go back and review this game. The start was fine. Generally, in general, like for even games, I do actually recommend that people do this instead of the pincer. Like I said, this is not a good move. It takes options away because if you don't do this, you do have the option to do things like this later on. At this point, you would probably just pincer it right here. So you either pincer right here or you come over top, something like that. You play one of those two. This is a bad move. It basically solidifies this where you might have actually had options before. I don't really know why people play this. This is like this doesn't make I don't know if you're expecting white to actually play here and then you to connect or something. Even at that, it's not really that great of a trade because it's still sente for white, right? And this is a pretty obvious like problem here because you obviously can't let white do that. So you're essentially letting white capture this corner territory, and you don't get too much in exchange. At this point, you would probably just do something like this. White does actually have to take this, and you probably like get something like this. I mean, that would probably be the end result. But I mean, just like here, just leave it alone and either go here or pincer this. You know, like I see so many SDKs do this. I don't really know why. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm gonna do this. That realistically is you can't ignore that because this is gonna be sente. And then doing that, obviously, I don't actually know how to do. I mean, like I might have just been able to do this. I don't exactly know how to answer this one. I probably could have just ignored you and done something else, but that's gonna be sente, and then like I'm gonna pincer here. But I think the best move here right away is actually just to fly up and separate this group because that group's not very strong. But I'm gonna go ahead and pincer here. This is pretty basic move. Since I have that stone there, this actually might have been the better move. That actually might have been the better move to play. But either way, that doesn't make any sense at all. You basically you have to do that. This doesn't really make any sense at all. And then this Atari is the wrong Atari. Also, I probably misplayed this. I should have done this. That would have put him in a really, really tough spot. Because he would have to do this, and then I could go this way. That's the way I should have played it. That's definitely the way I should have played it. But I wasn't really thinking here. But that's the wrong way to Atari. You're gonna have to Atari this first. If I take it, you have this Atari. And generally, as white, I'm not going to be wanting to do that. So this actually is much, much better for black. It's still not great for black, but it's much, much better for black than what he came out with. Because it's much more sealed in. Doing this Atari, now he has Gote, and this shape isn't quite as solid. So I'm going to actually fly up and separate these two. But right now, at this point, that would have been a decent move as well. Because that's actually pretty big. I'm going to fly up, separate these two. He's going to jump out. I'm going to go ahead and do this. That I don't really have to answer. So basically, you didn't really get much off this side. Yeah, there's a little influence over here, but this basically destroys a lot of territory. So he didn't gain too much over here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Pincer up. That's fine. I'm playing a little bit passive over here because I know I'm already ahead. And he's not getting anything out of this while I'm getting territory out of this. So that's a positive trade for me. Moves like this are generally bad. You leave out a lot of options. Like this just solidifies my shape and you don't really gain much from it. Same thing with these moves. Like you just solidify my bottom shape and you still have this problem out here. So he does this. I'm going to come out here. Obviously, I'm going to go here. And Atari, and now he has this problem, and plus like this isn't completely solved yet. So he comes out, I'm going to do this. I'm going to curl here, and he actually does have to answer this. These are just sequence moves. Here, I'm not actually sure how you answer this right. Because this is ko. If I do this, this is ko. I'm not going to fight it right now, obviously, but I always have that option in the future. I feel like this might actually... No, that's actually still... That's dead. So I'm not actually sure how you answer this. Because this is just a weird... This is a really, really weird shape if I do this. This is still ko. So yeah, it's just... It's a tough answer. And if you don't... I guess you just don't answer. Because if you don't answer, it's... If you don't answer at all, it's still ko. So if you just did this... I mean, no, then I can do this, I guess. I'm not exactly sure how to answer this one. Because either, I mean, you could answer this, but, I mean, this is still ko either way. So it's not a good shape. It's really not a good shape, no matter which way you answer. So but the problem is, like, he answered one, and it's still ko. So, like, he didn't actually fix his problem. I'm going to go ahead and, because I'm actually afraid of this move here. So since he actually fixed this, I'm going to go ahead and play this. He does that. I'm going to jump up here. I think, like, at this point, since I'm ahead by a lot, I should have just, like, taken the passive move and done this. So I'm going to play here. He does this. I do this. Since you did this, you absolutely have to do this. I do actually have a lot of... It would actually end up like this. But there are a couple of cuts over here that I could be concerned about later. Doing this is definitely not good for him. That really doesn't make much sense. Connect up here. So if he breaks, I can do this and then just do something like this. Or actually, no, not that. I would do this. And I jump out, basically, just to keep attacking this group. He does this. So the thing is, you can't do that. Yes, it looks like you're getting a lot down here, but if I fly over and grab this is automatically 30 or 40 points, and no one move you can make down there is going to be 30 or 40 points. So he does that. That's also a really bad move because it just basically ensures that you're dead. You might be thinking I'm going to do this, but realistically, there's basically no way I'm going to play like that. Because like you have to... The thing is, like, when you do these moves, you always have to consider that your opponent can be more aggressive, or he can just be passive and kill your entire group. And if I'm passive and kill your entire group, then you don't really achieve anything. So he does that. I'm going to come out this way. I probably should have just done this at this point, or just invaded the 3-3. This is still not solid over here, and taking away the corner almost ensures that I win. So I'm going to come out here. He does this. I'm going to come out here. He does that. And now I'm not really afraid because if he cuts here, I can just take the stone. I'm just going to go approach here and then basically go into the corner here. If I was black, I would probably just do this. I know it's kind of risky, right? Because I know it's kind of risky. I guess it wouldn't work because I have Sente. But, I mean, at least you get some here, I guess, and there's still some territory here. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't really work all that well out for black. But I think this is the worst of the two solutions, because it basically gives me, like, everything. Remember, I get a pretty big piece down here. This territory is pretty much gone anyways, and then this isn't really that much over here. So, obviously, like, at this point, you probably just want to do this, and then fight me over this, or something like that. But remember, this is Sente. You would probably have to give up some of this territory in here. But that's fine, because you get these two stones. So, yeah, this is a bad move all around. Obviously, I'm just going to take that. Actually, you know what? I should have just kept extending. Because he doesn't have time to do this. If he has time to do this, then this is dead. So, when I do this, like, the best move is probably just to curl over and essentially make sure your group is actually alive. Because this group is in a lot of danger. So I played that wrong, but yeah. You definitely want to do this at this point. Because if you do this, you're basically just giving me this group for free. And it doesn't matter how many points you get down here. Like, this is the one thing. Like, you guys do actually have to know how to count. You do have to know how to count points. And if you just do a quick count, you know that like this isn't gonna work because essentially you gave up all these stones in order to get this territory. And if you're doing that, you're going to lose. So sometimes, like, if you're just going with the flow and making your territory, you're going to lose. And you have to be able to gauge, like, really, am I getting more out of this than I'm giving up? So that's no good. So I'm just going to go ahead and take these centes first. Realistically, here, I feel like you can probably do this and connect this. Because think about it. There's only about, you have to gauge the value of these stones. Realistically, like this is worth maybe 15 points, but this is worth like 30 or 40. So when I make a mistake and do this, you would definitely try to do something like this. Go back, and I'm just going to connect these now because I just want to saw off this group. That's kind of pointless now because you can't really live. And this basically just gives me even more here. So and it's Gote too because you have to you kind of have to connect this because there's a double Atari here. So let's count the points. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 points or so here. And this is going to be like at least 40 or probably like 40 points that you gave up here. So in that exchange, I mean, probably like 45, 50 since this. In that exchange, you lost 35 points even though you got your territory. And the same thing with this exchange. Like you got sort of this territory, which is probably 10, 15 points, but then again, you lost like 30 or 40 points here. So through these two exchanges, you probably lost 60 or 70 points. So even if you get all this territory, which you're not going to because there's still problems, you would still be down about 70 points. And that's basically how you lose a game. Of course, this is going to be an issue. Like if I was behind, I would probably just do this first. If I was behind, I would do that. But since I'm really far ahead, I didn't feel like doing that. He has to do that. I'm going to go ahead and take all the centes first. And at this point, like, so the correct way to answer this, well, actually you can because it's co either way. But the thing is, like, I can do this at any time. But I'm not going to do that because because this actually might be a problem with this. So I'm not going to do that right now. But I think the correct move for me to make right now is still just to do this. 100%. Still just to do that. So at this point, I'm going to do this. Because like that's not really worth anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. He takes. I'm going to do this. So you would obviously do this if you're fighting this co. I would take this. And then, because like if you connect this here and I connect this, you can just do this. And remember, you have 4. Now you live with like 4 points. And there's still a co for you right there in the corner. But since I do this, and he does this, now you're living with just 2 points. So you lost 2 points in that trade. So that was the last thing I wanted to mention in this game. But the primary problem with this game is not that. The primary problem is just like you're too focused on making this big territory over here, and you gave up like 3 times as much in the process. And that is actually a problem I've seen in multiple SDK games. You can what is it? R15. Let me actually look at R15. I wasn't really paying attention in game, I guess. No, R15's not really a mistake because there's really no way you can play this. You could do that, but this doesn't actually this honestly doesn't turn out to be that much better. I mean, that's probably slightly better, but it doesn't really turn out to be that much better. It's still Sente for me, and I still get a pretty big piece in the corner. So, this particular invasion is really hard to respond to. If you wanted this corner, what you would do is you would probably either do this. You could either do that. I mean, I still have this in the corner, and you'd be giving up the corner, but you'd be getting more of this side. Or you could just kick and do that. then maybe like solidify with something like this. I mean, that's the other option as well. But then you leave this group is really weak. This group is a liability at this point. So there's really not a good answer for that. Really, really not a good answer for that. It's the old Joseki. Like the new one is generally a little bit better, but in this case, it doesn't really matter all that much. So I'm going to create another challenge and on OGS, and I will wait a couple of minutes for someone to accept. 6 to 12k if someone actually wants to play me. It is unranked. Because I've actually been discovering when people challenge me, they're actually not started. They're not actually checking the ranked check mark. They're not unchecking the ranked game thing. I already got another game, 6Q. I'm also practicing my 3-4 openings for the most part because I used to always play 4-4 openings and I need to diversify my game. This time I'm just going to do this. And that is the expected opening. I'm going to take the more passive approach. In this particular Joseki I'm playing, it is better for black by about half a point. Because usually you would play Q3 instead of Q2. I'm actually going to pincer on this one. There's not too much. Yeah, I would definitely take the knight's move here. There's not too much potential over here because this is already over here, I guess. That's kind of the expected move. I'm going to play down the corner first, just to solidify that territory. It's not good because you're not getting much up here. There's nothing really up there. Like if the underneath move is there, like playing up here is kind of pointless. If there's an underneath move right here. It's like the whole point of this is like to get this territory, but since you can't, there's really no point. See, like, black doesn't really gain anything here, and white got all the territory on the bottom. I'm not going to bother with that. It's not big enough for me to care. And plus, like, this would actually be Sente for me anyways. That's not big enough for me to care. I just don't really care about that. And there's also this like elephant's eye move, which is like really, really annoying later on. just take the Sente. He does get a decent amount of territory here. I am just not going to move on that. I can do this at any time I want. I am going to just do this, though. So I don't think that's a good move. Gets me that. Can't let him do that. I build up some influence here, but I do give up the corner territory. Not really sure if that was worth it or not. Later on, there is this particular move here. Right now, I'm just not going to do it. It's not worth it. Force over here. That's not a good move. Actually, I probably shouldn't have blocked, but yeah. My shape is quite a bit more complete than his. I don't think he can get too much up here. He does have to make some damaging moves. That's not a good move. It's obvious tiger's mouth for me. Hey guys. Since I'm actually concentrating on the game, I don't really have time to, unfortunately, respond to a lot of the comments in chat. See, like, the potential up here is definitely limited. And he spent a lot of moves to actually get... he actually spent a ton of moves to, like, get this potential up here. Strange move. See, like, because I have the counter tiger's mouth. I don't really think this matters all that much. He's definitely trying to make the territory here. But this group isn't really under threat. Because this is like Sente, essentially. Just going to go ahead and do that. I mean, there's not much to me. There's not much territory in here, so I'm not going to bother to try to kill the stone right now. It's more important for me to reduce this. I think I'm okay giving him this. This isn't really all that much. It's testing for what he actually does. Gotta do that first. Oh, that probably wasn't good. That was probably not good. This is not that big. At least not for now. There's a lot of like much bigger moves. Yeah, I should have done that first. It's my bad. That's not a good move. You can't let me do that. This doesn't matter. I am 100% willing to play this with him, by the ways. Just going down, because this is already alive. And it kind of, this is not good for him over here. Give me this for free? Yeah, he is. Wait, no, that wasn't good. That was not good. Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. If he decides to play it like that. It's also not that big. This is a lot bigger. It's a whole lot bigger. Remember, like, I just made all of this. Like, all of this. Which is actually bigger than his group down here. And then I got all of this as well. I don't know if I should have answered that, actually. I still owe a move here, yes. I can't do anything right now because I still have this, but... Oh, can he? He might be able to. Drats. I definitely might have made a mistake there. He made a mistake here, though. Yeah, I have to do this. You only get a couple points here. More or less now. That's the right way to do it. But remember, I still have this head out here. You can't make... Oh, that's a horrible move for what you're doing now. I don't know if he's trying to kill this group or not. He can't actually kill that group. Remember, this is Sente, so like he can't do anything here. Let's go ahead and do this. That's actually pretty big, so I do have to answer that. Gonna nuke this first. There's a Ko there. If he actually Hanes. This is actually pretty dangerous if I don't do this. So I'm definitely just going to do that. That's big. It's really big, actually. Should have taken it first. That's actually really big. I should have taken that first. Should have done something else first, but okay. Don't think there's anything there yet. Yeah, he's 1 liberty off, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's 1 off. I don't think he had to do that. Very, very kind of important there. Too many liberties on top, plus I connected this, so it doesn't work. That first. Take these back first. And then you make this particular eye. So you don't have to fix some things in there. So you don't have to fix, there's like nothing in here. I don't win by too much, but it should be a solid win either way. I don't think there's anything here. I could be careful, but I don't think there's anything here. This should solidly ladder for me. And even if it doesn't, he can't really kill me, so... whatever. Pretty sure that's not actually a point. I definitely made some screw-ups around here that he could have taken advantage of. Maybe I should just fix this just for the hell of it. Yeah, I'm just gonna play one here just in case so I don't screw up totally. Yeah, there's nothing in here, I already have that. There's also nothing here. It's too big.
grass. Remove the dead stones.
I should be winning by like 20 points.
You have won.
So I think he let me chip away too much there. I do actually think he let me chip away too much there. Let's actually go back and review this game. This is the last one I'm going to play today, but it's okay because this is an interesting game. That's actually kind of what I recommend now for most people, but the pincer is actually okay as well as the kick and then jump. So this is fine. Once again, this generally by AI standards is a better Joseki than what I actually played. When white plays this Joseki, black generally gains about half a point. Not very much though. But a pincer, because there's the potential is very limited over here, I'm not going to do this and let him extend on this side. So I actually kind of expected him to do this. But he does that. I'm going to jump. He does that. I'm going to do that. I can see kind of wanting to get the outer perimeter, but realistically, like I said, there's not that many points in here, and the going under basically secures me some points. This is much bigger right now. So like he played pretty well until over here. I still think this is a good trade for white because black hasn't really gotten all that much. There is some influence on the upper half, but I still kind of like white's position getting all the territory. So that's going to be a loss for him because this, I mean, like, even if he cuts the stone off, he spent all these stones getting like 4 or 5 points. Not worth it. I'm going to obviously take the 3-3 because that's the biggest one by far. Generally here, you wouldn't respond right now. There's a lot of territory in here, but I think like something like this is just going to be bigger for the most part. So he does that. I'm going to go here. He does that. So he does that. I think you almost have to go here at this point. So that's fine. And then I do this. I probably shouldn't have done that because he could have just ignored me, which is exactly what he should have done. He should have blocked this right now. But he does that. This sort of leaves like something like this later on. But it's not really that powerful because you can do this. This. I'm going to force here. That's a bad move. That's generally a bad move. When he does this, I shouldn't have answered. I probably should have just extended this. Then he does this. See, like this exchange with this definitely favors white because white's making this territory here and black's not really doing much here. This is just not, these aren't good moves. Yeah, letting me Hane this because your territory is limited to this here, and this is an obvious tiger's mouth, so this sequence of moves isn't good. Because the thing is, like, people generally do these. So the thing is, people generally do these kind of moves to build influence on the outside. That's the only reason they do these kind of moves. But the problem is, like, if you're building influence here, like, you're already limited by this stone, and all you're getting is this possibility. And plus, like, this is an obvious tiger's mouth, so you can't really walk into that. That's a very big move. It forces me to do that, and then he does that. But the thing is, like, with this, see, like, you're basically helping me make my territory here, and you're not getting much from it. You could do this and get, like, 10 points here, but I'm going to get way more over here. So I'm going to do that. He's going to do that, and I'm just going to ignore him because playing here isn't really worth it, and, like, letting him play, like, here or something is really not worth it. So once he plays that, like, I realize that if he comes down here, I can just play this, and I lose maybe, like, 5-6 points, but this is going to, well, I shouldn't have done that, first of all. That doesn't really make too much sense. But this is going to be, like, playing somewhere out here. Even this is going to be way better than answering this. Like, a lot of lower ranked players might want to play this just to secure their territory, or maybe even attack the stone. It's actually really hard to attack the stone. But if you play here to secure your territory, you're really securing only a few points for this move. And right now, this move is going to be way better, like, positioned out here. That's not the optimal move, obviously, but positioned out here is going to be way better. So he does that. I was kind of thinking of doing this, but I'm a little bit afraid of this cut. And I don't really want to fight this right now. So I probably should have Haned. I probably should have Haned, but I'm going to go ahead and do this. Do that, and then come out here, because I want to threaten this. Yeah, see, like, there's not too many points here, so this might have been a better move. This might have just been the better move, because white sort of has to answer this. Even if he does this, you know, like, white still kind of, black still has to kind of answer, otherwise he's screwed. So, you know, if he actually does that, then I get Sente again. So I suppose that's going to be just a better move for me. So connecting wasn't the best move. It's the most obvious one, but it's not the best move. He does that. I'm going to go ahead and do this first and fix. That's a mistake by me, but at this point I think I have to do it, because I don't want him coming this way. So he did the right move by ignoring me. That's very, very big. I'm going to Hane this way. That's a bad move. You want this connection to be soft. You do not want this connection to be tough. And of course, like, doing this, you give me this move first, and I'm always going to take that Atari first, because now when you do this, I'm going to just go over and then try to attack this group. Now, like, you made me really strong right here, so I can actually attack your group here. It's not a good move doing that. Atari and force. And then, like, I did the right sequence here. This is how the sequence, how you're supposed to do this. You're not really you can't really kill this group. There is a certain move here, though, that you can do, I guess, to really tighten his liberties. But it doesn't really work, because he can, if you play here, he can actually Atari here. If this was connected, it's a whole different story. Then you do this, and he has to give up those stones. But right now, that's not really all that relevant, because realistically, these 3 stones aren't that big anyways. So I'm going to extend out. I probably should have extended out, actually. Yeah, that would have actually given him a lot of trouble if I extended out, because he doesn't have too many liberties here, and obviously his ladder doesn't work. So I probably should have extended out. This was a bad move on my part. If he just did this, I would be kind of screwed, honestly. I'd be a little bit screwed, because this is not really, well, I guess it's okay. Yeah, I guess it's okay. He doesn't have too many liberties in there. That's why this is actually okay. But this is not a good move right now. This is not a good move right now. And also, like, even if I let him take this, which I did, I do get this territory in here, which is good, but I think it lets him out a little too easily. So that was a bad move by me. I should have just extended. Because if I extended, there's not a good move he can do to counter me. I mean, I guess he can do this. Then I would have to run this out. Then he could yeah, that wouldn't actually work out for me. So I guess I couldn't. Yeah, I can't actually extend. I can't extend because of that. So that's still a bad move, though. I'm not exactly sure what I should have done there, but either way, I did that. This worked out okay for me because I got this, but I did reduce my lead here. That is not the correct move, because this stone just isn't very big, and there's not that much potential here. This is going to be quite a bit bigger. Once I did this, I shouldn't have taken the stone. I should have gotten Sente here, because, yeah, that is kind of big, but I should have just taken Sente here. I took the stone. He does this. I should have actually ran and done this. That's actually pretty big. Go ahead and extend up. Connect this. He does that. I do that. This is fine. That doesn't really. This isn't very good, but this move isn't very good. So he does that. He connects that. I'm going to connect this. That's fine. Then he does that. That's actually pretty big. I do that. He does that. So the thing about this is this group isn't very solid yet. This is really big. This is actually really, really big right now. That move is very big. Extend. He does that first, and he does that. These are moves I have to answer, so it's perfectly fine. This particular move I don't really like, because it does leave this open. So I'm going to break out this territory here first. But at this point, like, if I was black, I would 100% do that. there's not much territory in here. If you really count it, like if I jump in, and if there's no problems when I jump in, if I jump in, you can actually kind of wedge. But if I jump in, like you basically lose 4 points. So that's not going to be a good move. And of course, I'm going to immediately do this first. Taking this, making you do this, and then like I'm going to take the Sentes first, and then definitely do that. To me, like this actually is really big because it secures my group. You probably wouldn't be able to kill it anyways, but it to me just secures my group, so this is worth a lot to me. That is really big, like as I said. He did this correct sequence here because I needed to fix this and then do that. But at this point, the game's already determined. I'm up by like 20 points. And the rest of it's just like kind of like finishing the game. So essentially, like, once again, a lot really focused on making this territory here. And also, like, you're building influence here, but you're building influence here, and you're not really asking yourself why. When you build influence, you have to take into account the potential of that influence. This group is not really under threat. This group is fine. This group's not under threat. So, but you're building influence here for basically no real reason. And you're helping me build this big territory here. So definitely like this really like this exchange over here is where the game was lost because he built influence for like very little reason. And he let me build this big territory over here. So that is the review for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. I'll be back hopefully maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. It really depends. I'll see you guys later.